You know that there are moments in your life when you know that there's time to reset some pieces, whether you are walking through a change personally or maybe you're going through a change professionally. Well, today we have something special for you. Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. I am so glad that you're here today because I have a special guest joining us, Miss Alex Kerekes. Hey, Alex. I have got to introduce you to everybody. Alex is a digital marketing educator, podcast host, entrepreneur, wife, and mama to the most adorable little girl. She has over a decade of experience in social media, content creation, and marketing. She is the founder of Breakthrough Digital Marketing, a digital marketing agency and training and development center. Alex, thank you so much for being here. Is there any more that you'd like to share about yourself with our audience?
Thank you, Tanya, so much for that wonderful introduction. Yes. So my journey in business started about 10 years ago. I'm 28 now, turning 29 by the time this podcast will be released. And I started my journey in business at 18 years old, fresh out of high school. I actually got a job working in the marketing department for a large hotel and resort group. It was a wonderful opportunity that I got at such a young age. And I really just dove in and I wanted to learn everything that I could about this industry, about business, about sales, marketing, consumer psychology, sales psychology, just all of it. So I was in that position for a total of about 4 years, learning everything I could and really sort of maxed out that opportunity and learned so much and absolutely loved it. And then I decided to go back to school at 22 years old and actually get formally trained, get a formal education in business and marketing, because I realized how much I really loved it and really how good I was at it, like very naturally talented at looking at things through the lens of marketing and business. And so I went back to school, actually specialized in online marketing. So online forms of marketing and social media was my specialty. That's what I focused on in school. And it was so fitting for me. I was like, oh, this is exactly really just like ties all the pieces together, because I loved the creativity of, being able to express myself. I really just found the thing that was the perfect fit for me, and I loved it. While I was still in school, still as a student, I had a number of people reaching out to me, people that had their own businesses that wanted to know, how do we reach more people online? How do we really stand out in a sea of competitors online and in the business world? I started working with businesses, brick and mortar businesses that, needed to increase their visibility online. And I started actually, creating websites for them, like actually building the websites, running the social media pages, running their email marketing campaigns, online ads, and doing all these things really allowed me to just further hone in on my skill set and really practice like the things that I was learning in the real world. And so I loved it, learned so much. I was working about 60 hours a week at that point, and it was a one-man show. I was the only person in the business doing everything, and I burned out. I was actually pregnant at the time with my daughter, Haven. So I realized that I needed to make a shift, which is, on the topic that we're going to discuss in this podcast, I'll get a little bit more into, but that's sort of where I got to where I am today. And just a little bit about me and my background.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And that is a whole lot in your life already. I'm glad that you gave us some insight about where you started from, because the educational background that you have started, I'm a little bit older than you, did not have anything that specifically talked about online anything. And now that we're in an environment, it would seem like having individuals go through a course with the foresight of online strategies, that this would be easy for you. But you you still had to put yourself in a position to reset. Going through having to restart from being the one-man show to stop being burned out because having a new baby causes the extras. Tell us a little bit more about what did you did to reset yourself? How did you go about doing that?
So I realized that within the scope of work that I was doing with my clients, a lot of what I was really good at was actually teaching them on the why behind the things I was doing. So, as I was setting up their email marketing campaigns, or I was running their social media pages or creating their websites, I always liked to really teach people about what's going on behind the scenes and the why we're doing these things. And I think that was my way of empowering people. I also wanted them to have at least a basic understanding of the why, so that, if there ever came a time where they needed to either do it themselves, or maybe they chose to work with a different person, that they would understand why I had set things up for them the way that I had, and that they would also be able to just take the baton and run with it, right? And I think also, again, I think it's empowering to know and to understand why, right? Why do we do this? Why is it important to set up things this way? Especially when it comes to tracking things like conversions and sales and analytics on your website, if you have a business. And so when I was doing that, I realized how much I actually enjoyed really the teaching aspect of it, and the training and development aspect of it, and was getting really good feedback from my clients and the businesses that I was working with, that it was so different now, working with someone that actually empowered them to know how to do these things for themselves as well, right? And not just have to blindly rely on someone. So when, again, after I burned out when I was pregnant, and realizing that I had to make a lot of shifts very quickly in order to be able to stay in business, I decided to completely shift the direction of my business from, offering services of, website creation and social media management, to actually coaching and consulting businesses to do this right for themselves, and to really empower them to do this for themselves, and to know and understand all those years that I learned and I trained in these things, that I could really impart that knowledge on them and really help them go a lot further. That was really the big shift for me. Of course, there's been a lot of other shifts, but that was really one of the biggest shifts that I made, was just completely pivoting the direction of my business and the way that my business operates.
Well, first, I want to commend you, because at your age, you're already learning what a whole lot of people that I have to give some insight on about how to pivot. But the thing that you are doing is part of what I often teach here and show. You had it from the beginning. And I use HAD as a methodology insight for heart-centered, action-oriented, and developer. And we contain all of those. And by you making a decision to be the heart-centered soul that you are, you wanting to empower others, that's the key piece that people often forget in business. You have to still put the people part in business, because it's people that run the business, it's people that make the business. And in order to keep that business going, you have to have a heart to serve, bringing individuals back to their why. That is a key component, which also gave you the chance to reset here. Reset from the services part to the teaching and empowerment piece. We forget that resetting comes from inside. And I commend you for taking the time to reset who you are, which pours you out with what you already had, to reset others. As people are walking through hearing this information, they're like, okay, granted, she's already was trained for all of these things, but there's some individuals that are like, I still would like to have that, but I'm not sure how much of it I feel like I can really do myself. What is it that you specifically do to try to support people that you're working with, to transition them now, to reset, to doing this for themselves? What do you do to encourage them to say, yes, you really can reset and do this? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of different layers to it, but I think one of the biggest things, both for myself and for my clients, that I help them really step into is the power of the pivot. Every big breakthrough that I've had has actually come as a result of feeling that stress or that overwhelm or that frustration that things aren't quite fitting right. And maybe at the time, not even knowing like what part of it doesn't feel right, but just knowing like there's this feeling kind of in, I don't know, like my gut, if you want to call it, that just something's not 100% the way that it should be. And using that and sort of leaning into that discomfort and allowing it to be a guide into, okay, what is this really showing me? Like, I am in a season of my life where I need to take better care of myself. And maybe that looks like setting up systems in a way that I can still be in business and not have to constantly be burned out, or not have to have, a business that requires me to work 60 hours a week behind a computer screen, especially, when you have a baby. That's not possible when you have a newborn. And so that's one of the biggest things that I help my clients walk through as well. And one of the biggest things for my clients is that, the people that I work with, they're experts in their fields. They're experts, they're leaders in what they do. And a lot of them have been in business for a very long time. A lot of them have been in business for their whole lives, and they're doing really well. But there's still that element of like, oh, I feel like there's something more. Like, I feel like there's something else that I'm not really sure even maybe what it is yet, but I know that there's something. And really helping them find what do you want in this phase of your life, right? Because again, like talking about resets and pivots, the stage or the season of your life that you're in right now may not be the same as the season of your life that you were in when you first started this business 20 years ago. And so the business needs to adapt in order to survive, right? And so it's just so much fun really diving into that.
Let's unpack that, because you just poured so many nuggets. I don't know how many of you have really heard what she just said. You leaning into your burnout was the clue that gave you the insight. It's time to reset. For you, pivot. And for individuals that are often working in all the various business, being an expert in your field is what helps you do the thing that you do. So lean into the change. That's what I'm hearing from you. That one nugget alone is a piece that I'm hoping that those of you that are listening are truly gathering. You don't have to be the expert in the thing that she is doing. If you're willing to lean into the uncomfortable moments, lean into your space where this just doesn't feel right, you can get some support. It is there that you get the chance to know, I need some support here. And that's where you're coming in to give people an idea about systems, innovation, visibility, insight. Tell us a little bit more about how you help people get, because there's a lot of conversation about being a brand. How can I really be a brand and still be me, creating the systems, doing the thing? What is the reset that you will help them to get to that thought about how to operate from there?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of what I help my clients do is, again, a lot of them are in business. They're very successful. They've been in business for a long time. And, they're doing well financially. They're doing well for themselves, but there's still that element of missing something. And a lot of the times it's actually getting back their time freedom, which is interesting because they say that your clients mirror you. So it's always interesting to me because that was my story, right? That's how I got here. My sort of magic sauce that I help these business owners with is I help them put their expertise, their knowledge into digital products or a digital course that they can sell and get their time back, right? So a lot of businesses have a cap as to how much physical business they can do. For example, if you have a chiropractor business, there's going to be a cap of how many clients you can bring in to your business in one day, right? Because there's limits, right? These physical limits exist on, even if, you bring people in and you hire people, there's still limits as to how many clients you can bring into the business. They're already looking at the next step, right? Which is like, okay, well, how do we grow this business? How do we scale this business beyond like what's possible for us to bring in, right, physically into a space? And so I help them create digital products for their business that they can sell and, again, scale their business. So, right, make more money and also get their time back. I love digital products, digital courses, memberships. These are things that I call assets inside of your business. And so anytime that you create something like a digital product, a digital course, you're putting the time into creating this asset, which then is going to make you, ROI, right? Return on your investment for years to come. And so that's a little bit of what I help my clients do. There's so much competition and there's so much competition online now. And how do you really like make a name for yourself? Something that I always remind people is when there's a sea of people, right, and you're trying to stand out, you're not going to stand out if you're the same as everyone else. And I think that's something that we often forget. This is really like a journey that we all have to go through. It's definitely something that I've gone through, where, a lot of trauma can come up, getting a little bit deeper. A lot of trauma can come up of, feeling like you need to fit in. And business is the one place where you don't want to fit in. You don't want to fit in. You want to stand out. And so in order to do that, you actually need to be different and differentiate yourself from the sea of people that are doing everything the same, that look the same, their social media all looks the same, their ads all look the same. And how are you going to grasp someone's attention, right? That is scrolling online. And how are you actually going to pop out? And so that's really what I help people do.
And that does help because lots of times when we're thinking about brand, we also are thinking about that thought of how do I look like someone else because they're big. But you're saying to help people get the concept of truly with brand awareness, reset your mindset about what that looks like. Be unique to who you are. Let that be your difference to let you be seen. And here's another thing. When we think about assets, we're transitioning because as we get deeper into what's happening online and all the social media and all the various things, people's minds are slowly turning to what assets really mean. But for some of them, a concrete asset like a building or a car or things like that, people are still considering assets. But what you do is help them get more efficient and productive with how they're resetting themselves so they don't cap out at whatever the physical thing that they're doing. And they're like, okay, I know now that I need to lean into the uncomfortable so that I can start embracing that because it'll give me that knowing that I got to reach out to someone to do something different. And now I'm hearing about the digital assets thing that will help us maximize the use of our time. Is there one other something that you can let people know? Because you have also shared a free product. And before we get to the free product, we got to have a quick break. So give us a few moments while we go into this. Sitting on the edge of my bed trying to figure out how did I get here? But I knew there was a way of getting through this. So I decided to do an autopsy on my marriage. Red alert. Is he the one? The pocket guide to finding a love of your life. The free chapter is available for you in the link below. And that is something that I have learned a whole lot more. So thank you for letting me be a quick example of a digital asset. Take a moment now and share a little bit more about what people can do because building that and doing other things, this looks like it's a lot. So help people understand how to reset so it's not overwhelming.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to it and there's a lot of different moving pieces. But I love, like you said, people Traditionally, when we hear the word asset, we think of things like maybe a physical building, maybe your home is an asset, if you rent it out, or God forbid, if anything was ever to happen, in your family, or there was an unfortunate situation that required you to take time away from the business, right? Like using the example of the chiropractor office, right? Or, servicing clients one-on-one directly, that you still have an asset or a way for money to come into the business, even when you need to take a little break, right? Even when you need to take a little break, maybe you're going through something in your family that, you really need to be present and really just support the people that you love. And you can take a step away for a season, right? Or some time, and your cash flow isn't gonna just completely get cut off. Especially looking at, one of the biggest reasons why entrepreneurs decide to quit their business is because of burnout, right? Is because they're trying to do everything by themselves, right? And it's a lot. And although, entrepreneurs aren't the only people that experience burnout, it's definitely different when like your work life and your personal life is so intertwined. And I think that's something that as entrepreneurs we have to learn and we go through, right? Is really like, maybe that looks like setting certain boundaries or setting up systems in a way that you can still take care of yourself. But it's definitely very different as a dynamic than like going to work and then coming home and your work stays there and your home is here, and just kind of being able to turn that part of your brain off. I learned this from my business coach actually, and it's something that I now implement with all my clients, and it's energy first, strategy second. And as a business owner, right, you are sort of the heart, the beating heart of your business. And so for the business to thrive, for the business to grow and scale, you need to be well, right? And that's like looking at you as a person, right? As an individual, like you need to be well. And so we look at things like what do you need to implement in the business right now that you're going to feel supported by the business, right? That the business is actually there to support you and not the other way around, right? So that you can be in business for a really long time and not burn out and go out of business. So yeah, I love to ask a lot of questions. I use questions a lot in the work that I do to really dive into. A lot of times people already know the answer, but they're holding back, right? And so oftentimes when we hire a coach or we hire a mentor, we're actually hiring that mentor for permission, to give us permission to tap into parts of ourselves that we didn't yet feel safe or comfortable bringing out, right? Bringing to the surface. And so a lot of times what a mentor or coach does is they give you a permission slip. And the way that I do that is by asking people a lot of questions of really like, what would make you feel the most supported right now in your business? And oftentimes, again, that's having things set up like a digital asset that's going to support them in seasons of their life where, they need to just step back and maybe take a breather and then come back replenished and still have a business when they come back.
And that's good to know, because we don't often think about getting permission. We want to stand out. We want to do the various things, but a lot of us really feel so much better when we have a cheerleader. So I want to pause and say thank you for being the cheerleader for a lot of people. And because you are a cheerleader for a lot of people, you also are doing something great still by sharing with my audience. You have a free gift that you are giving away. Please share more about that.
Yeah, for sure. So it's my Viral Secrets Checklist. It's a guide that I created to really help people see how they can take steps to increasing their visibility online. Social media is one aspect of online marketing, right? Of putting yourself out there on a larger scale. And oftentimes the business owners that I work with, they're newer to the social media world or the online space, and they're still learning it, they're still navigating it. And so I wanted to create this guide, this resource that would really give people like a really easy checklist of things that you can implement today that are going to help increase your visibility online, right? So whether you're a personal brand or whether you're a brick and mortar business, right? But things that you can do to increase your visibility online and also to stand out. The Viral Secrets Checklist is a great place to start. And yeah, really just being comfortable being uncomfortable is really what I like to say, and sort of leaning into that and just knowing that like this is stretching me. You know, it might feel like I'm dying right now, but that's just because it's new and it's just a muscle that I just need to practice, and it's like going to the gym.
Well, thank you so much for that, Alex. And so, you now have an opportunity to get the chance to get the Viral Secrets Checklist because, yes, in this day and age with all of the stuff, sometimes it's hard to try to be social on social media, not knowing how do I show up, what I'm going to do. So thank you for the checklist. I'm going to have to make certain I use that one too. And so with that, Alex, I'm appreciative of this conversation, but we do have to sort of wrap it up. Is there one last thought that you'd like to share with our audience today?
For sure. I think if you are wanting to stand out in a sea of people, you know, and you're looking for the people that are going to come into your world and that are going to be, you know, your ideal customers, your best clients, and the people that are going to be your raving fans in your business, the best thing that you can do is really start sharing how you authentically feel about things online. And so I, I really encourage my people, my clients to start sharing your point of view online, relating to your field. Start sharing how you view things, how you view the world, how you approach things. And what that's going to do is that's actually going to magnetize to you the people that feel the same way. Sharing really authentically your point of view on things, on the world, and is really going to help magnetize to you the people that have those same views and that you're going to really vibe with. And hopefully those are going to be your raving fans, your loyal clients for years to come in your business. So definitely start practicing with that.
Thank you so much for that. And so for those of you that are looking to find Alex, you can go to her website, breakthroughdigitalmarketing.net. Thank you, Alex, so much for sharing this insight and pouring into my audience. And for those of you that are watching this, there's one thing I always like to say. If you don't remember anything else we shared, here's the one thing we want you to know. Get the support that you need. You've already heard from Alex. Make certain that you click, join her, because if you need someone to help you lean into the process of how to reset, she is there to support you. And I'm so glad that she's given us the opportunity to get the chance to see her today. And if you're looking for someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to my website as well, tanyaehood.com. And if anything that we have shared today has resonated with you, we'd like for you to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can hear more interesting information about what's being done today. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.